All right, happy Monday afternoon, Sooner fans. Welcome back to the Sooner Surge Softball Edition. Back at you today to talk about a certain recruit, incoming freshman. But before we get started, please hit the subscribe button as you do not want to miss all the content we'll be providing you. So subscribe, and like the video, please. And so today we're going to get started with an incoming freshman, guys, Ella Parker, who you can probably find it on Twitter if you want to look, but people call her the most feared hitter in all of high school softball. Okay. And it shows in her stats, not the stats that you would think that you can see. It's the stats that you don't see, like the walks. Okay. She basically walks 40% of her at bats, guys. They're scared to pitch to her. They're scared of her. They intentionally walk her to get around her. And even with, I think she had, I want to say she had 87 at bats this last season, but only actually 87 appearances, 51 at bats because of the walks. And with that, she had a percentage of almost 700 batting average. I mean, it's just insane numbers, 14 home runs, I believe, 34 hits. But guys, last night in the All-Star game, she just demolished a home run. I heard people talking about it, or saw people talking about it on Twitter, just didn't even know where it landed. I mean, it was just crushed. Left-handed batter, guys. The niece of David Roberts, manager of Dodgers. Just, I mean, there's a lot we could say about her, but I just wanted to open up for discussion, guys. She's got to be probably, I mean, I would say probably the most for the incoming freshman, probably the one I'm looking forward to and seeing the most. But
Yeah, and it's not just fans or players that call her the most feared hitter. I believe on a site called MSN.com, there is a study, and it was ran by some MLB scouts that just watched the way she hit, and they all completely agreed. And her exact stats this year was she had a 692 average with 24 RBIs and over 27 hits on the season, 13 of them being home runs. And she only played in 17 games. So you talk about just someone, I believe, Jason, you said she got walked 40% of the time. So in the limited opportunities she did get, she was truly the most feared hitter in all of softball.
yeah, and Jackson, the thing when she comes to OU with the power they have and the batting average they have around, you can't just sit there and walk somebody. I mean, you got people behind her or in front, wherever, all around her, they're going to hit. So she's going to have plenty of opportunity to put the bat on the ball.
Yeah, and she, like you mentioned, I mean, I picture left-handed. I mean, who's the best power hitter that's ever played at OU, guys? It's Jocelyn Allo.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a left-handed Allo with this lineup. And then also maybe things that aren't mentioned much about her is her fielding percentage of 1,000.
Yeah, center field.
I believe last year, her senior year. But, some other things. She is the niece of Dave Roberts. And there was an article written about how much Dave Roberts kind of helped her with analyzing her at bats. So she's not just someone who's going to get up there and pound the ball. Even though she is going to do that, but she's also very analytical in her thinking and really researches things and thinks through just how she hits the ball. So this is and what Patty Gasso say about her. If you read the comments about her, just super happy that they were able to get her. She's the third ranked recruit if you go to extra inning softball, and a couple other people quoted as saying generational talent, which that word is not thrown around very often.
Hey guys.
Yeah.
This was a huge get for Gasso for her freshman.
Yeah, and I mean, and if you watch her highlights, they're hard to find. Some of them are hard to find her highlights online, but the ones I've seen, guys, she hits it to all parts of the field, opposite way. I mean, she's an all-around hitter, and it'll be interesting to see how Gasso uses her next year. I don't think you're going to be able to keep her bat out of the lineup personally. I think either extra hitter or whatever they got to do to get her bat in the lineup. It's another left-handed hitter with pop. So she's a utility. She can play, I think, pretty much infield or outfield. But I think she's played mostly outfield, I believe. But
yeah, her infield is mostly first base. Her senior season, she did not pitch really at all. Up into her senior season, she had been pitching as well, but wanted to focus more on at bats and her hitting her senior year. But I'll be the first to admit, we did a roster breakdown a couple weeks ago, and Ella Parker is not one that I mentioned maybe as maybe getting tons of run next year. But the more I've researched and watched and what she's doing, I don't see how they're going to be able to keep her out of the lineup as well, whether that's extra hitter, whether that's out in right field and Torres being the extra hitter, whether she, subs in at first base for Sydney Sanders. I mean, Ella Parker is going to be on the field quite a
Yeah,
bit
and like
this year.
Yeah, and like Braden had mentioned kind of off video about Pickering too is another one out there. But I know we're talking about Ella Parker, but another thing about Ella Parker, if you're watching this video and you have Twitter, obviously follow the Sooner Surge on Twitter, but also if softball fan, go follow a guy named Justin McLeod, big time in college softball. Has all the up to date information, and he put out an interview with Ella Parker last night. I encourage you to go watch it. Very good interview after the game and just how excited she is to come to OU. I think last night at the All-Star game after she hit the home run, rounding third base coach was Tiare Jennings. That she kind of talked about that and how she's just so looking forward to playing with these All-Americans at OU.
Yeah,
To me, she's going to be the next great player at OU. I think it's going to be Ella Parker.
well, and whenever you watch her swing, she's not so reliant on her pop coming from dropping her hands and just straight from her legs. She's able to use her upper body, keep her swing straight, which is another thing that stands out. Because when you watched Ola swing, just as I think Jeremy said, although she's the greatest hitter ever to come out of softball, she didn't just take her power to left field. It was to all parts of the field where she could use her upper body, her lower body, everything. And also, as you guys said, her role. A girl that transferred out was Jocelyn Erickson, who had a lot of opportunity this year, and she showed at times that she had some pop in her bat. So do we see kind of a similar role for that where Oklahoma can use her in the outfield? They can use her as the DH, It's just, what does Patty Gasso want to do with her?
They also they had the comparison was because Ella Parker played with Jocelyn Erickson. So there was a comparison of it was like the next Tiare Jocelyn kind of combo was the comparison that was used. Now you have Jocelyn Erickson, who is not there any longer, but Ella Parker is going to make a huge difference. Just continuing to add to this legendary lineup that continues to somehow seems like gets better every year. Braden, you're about to say something.
Yeah, I think Ella Parker is going to be the next Jocelyn Olo.
And maybe she's not the next Jocelyn Olo.
I don't want to compare anyone to Olo.
No one's going to be Jocelyn Olo, but
compare, she hits like her. I mean,
yeah, I mean, as far as if you want to say power, if you want to say home runs, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But someone's gonna have to prove their worth in order to get that honor to be Jocelyn Olo, because she's not only the greatest hitter in softball ever.
Throwing that out there.
Yeah, she's the greatest softball player. General. She's one of the greatest athletes in all of sports. That's Jocelyn Olo.
Well, one thing that's good for Ella Parker, she doesn't have to come beat Jocelyn Olo next year.
Nope.
I mean, with this team, the pressure on her is not going to be heavily on her next season. Anything she gives them is just going to be added to what they already have. So I think she's in the perfect role. All these freshmen, Maya Bland, Pickering, all these girls coming in, and even the transfers, they don't have to do it all, and that's the beauty of being on this team.
Well, and we were talking about how well she hits the ball, but then you come to OU and you got JT Gasso as your hitting coach. You're just it's just even better. But one thing we mentioned in another video, and I think this is very important as OU softball fans, as you're watching next year, is it's a unique year in my opinion because you are so heavily loaded at seniors this next year with some people that have played for 3 or 4 years. When I mentioned Jada Coleman, Tiare Jennings, Brito, Hansen, I'm just saying. So I think some of these incoming freshmen, like an Ella Parker, Pickering, some of these girls are going to maybe get more run and more play than maybe last year a girl, because Gasso knows the next year she's losing a lot. She's losing a lot of hitters. So I think you're going to see more at bats for these girls.
Well, and I also look for her, though. I know we're not want to talk about next year, but being very aggressive in the transfer portal as well. And hey, Patty Gasso might not be done there yet. We don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you have it,
There
guys.
you go,
I mean,
guys. That's it.
Ella Parker, going to be an incoming freshman at OU this year. Be on the lookout for her. If you can find her highlights online, like I said, go watch them. Go hit up Justin McLeod on Twitter. Watch the interview that he did with her last night. Very good interview. So, as always, please subscribe to the Sooner Surge. And until next time, guys, Boomer.